What's up, guys? How are you? Happy Tuesday. Welcome into another episode of the Daily Juice Podcast with me, Matt Perrault. You guys can follow me across all of my socials at Sports Talk Matt. And we're back after a winning day. Now, it's either a 3-0 sweep or a winning day, 2-1. The Iowa State game is a late game out here on the West Coast. So I'm taping this here a little bit on the earlier side, but we win the first two games pretty easily on the docket. The Iowa under comes in by 10 points. Like I thought, that game was really not priced properly. And the Houston Rockets won the game outright at the Boston Celtics. That was somewhat of a predictable game there. I did not think the Rockets were going to have much trouble covering the 6.5. I thought Boston might lose the game outright, and they did. Just one of those things. Boston now is 6-25-1 following a win against the spread. Like, that's a crazy stat. That's the second worst mark in the entire NBA. So when Boston wins a game, the next game, fade them. Do not take them. They might win the game, but they're not going to cover. And a lot of these numbers are inflated, but the Celtics home, on the road, it doesn't really matter. They only get up for certain games. So when they get up, like against the Warriors, they won by 40. Against Dallas, they won by, I think, 15, right? When they get up, they can play, and they're the best team in the NBA. But that was a Super Bowl for the Rockets. Young team, nationally televised game, taking on the defending champs with Ime Udoka, their former Celtics coach, and now their coach. Win one for him. It's pretty obvious that Boston was not going to match the intensity for the young Rockets, and they did not. And so the Rockets win the game outright by 2. Celtics go down again. So 2-0, and currently Iowa State is leading with 10 to play in the first half. It's 13-8. Pace is very much for Iowa State up against Arizona. That number flew. Like, I laid one on Iowa State. It closed Arizona -2.5. When a number runs like that, and KenPom has it on the other side, it's a 2-point win for Iowa State. I most often look at this. Maybe it's the dog barking. I apologize. Don't know what the dog's doing. Hey, want to cut it out, please? Yes. Guys, you guys haven't seen this ridiculous little dog. Come here. We can make the debut. This is Ninja. Ninja's really loud. He's got a little body and a really big voice. Want to do me a favor and be quiet? Otherwise, he barks to get in the door, so I got to bring him in here. So, I don't know. So maybe Iowa State being a dog, he likes the dog barking. We'll see what happens with Iowa State. I laid 1. It was a favorite, but we're off at 2.5. So you guys hopefully got points there with Iowa State here on the road to Arizona. So either a sweep or a 2-1 night. Winning day regardless. Tonight, we've got a 5:30 Eastern Time, 2:30 Pacific Time live stream with myself and Terrell Furman. Now, a couple things on this. I play 2 bets for you guys, 2 additional plays on the Daily Juice official card. Because of that, it's problematic for me to give out too many plays here because all of a sudden we have 5 or 6 bets going on a Tuesday. I don't normally do that. So I got 2 bets for us here in college basketball and 2 more bets in college basketball coming later on today. Okay? So just kind of FYI, that's what we're doing. So 2 here on the Daily Juice, 2 more coming up on the live stream at 5:30 Eastern Time, 2:30 Pacific Time on the BettingPros YouTube channel. Free, easily found, but Terrell will have 2 plays as well. I'll have 2 plays myself. We went 3-1 last week on our official play. I hit both my plays, so I went 2-0 on that. So hopefully we continue here and we keep ourselves rolling as we continue on here with our card with how we've done here in the month of January. By the way, if you didn't see it on the Discord channel or on Twitter, you guys can always track the record, okay? If you ever need me to send you the spreadsheet, I'll send you the spreadsheet. I'll post it in the Discord channel. I don't care. Everything is right there. It's all tracked. Somebody said I was up 0.05 units last week. No, I was up a unit last week. More than that. But even if I was only up 0.05, who cares? Like, it was a winning day. You're mad that I told you I had a winning week? We're up over 7, now 8 units, maybe even depending on how we do tonight. If we sweep the board, we're up 10 units for the month of January. Is that not good? Are you not okay with that? Like, come on, guys. Like, find other things to do than try to say, oh, nice week, Matt. You had a winning week. Okay. What did you do? This is a free podcast, guys. All free. All available to anyone and everyone who wants to be a part of this and wait, watch, share it, listen. I thank all of you guys, but tweeting at me and come on. Like, jeez. All right. Let's start here with a really interesting game in the Big 12. Central Florida at Kansas. You guys know how I feel about Kansas. I'm just not down with KU this year. I think they're completely overrated. And this number is 13.5 for Central Florida. They're 4-3 ATS on the road this year. They're 5-3 ATS in the Big 12. They're 4-1 ATS over their last 5, and they're 7-3 ATS over their last 10. They're coming off of a 27-point win over TCU, and yes, they got housed at Iowa State. I think Iowa State's the best team in the country. Told you guys that last night. Kansas is coming off of a loss at home to Houston in overtime. They blew it. They had a big lead in that game. Game goes to overtime, and they blew it. They beat TCU on the road by 13 points, the same TCU team that UCF just beat by 27 points. Before that, at home against Kansas State, they were laying 15. They won by 10. On the road to Iowa State, they were catching 5.5. They lost by 17. KU has covered once in their last 4 games. We've got a team in UCF. They've covered 4 times in their last 5 games, like I mentioned, 4-1. And on the road against Arizona, they were catching 17. They lost by 8. On the road against Arizona State, they were catching 4. They won by 6. At home against Houston, they were catching 13.5, and they lost by 1. The same Houston team that KU just lost at home to by 6. I know, look, KenPom likes this as a big win for KU, as a 14-point win for Kansas. I don't think that's right. I think Central Florida's going to keep this close. They're 52nd in offensive efficiency. They are up against the 4th most efficient defense in the country in KU. But KU's offense is 31st in efficiency. Central Florida's defense is 87th in efficiency. It's not awful. It's pretty good. I mean, offensively, they should be able to score. They should be able to play up-tempo and force KU into some turnovers and hopefully be able to find their way to the free throw line, where they're 34th in the country, 77% free throw shooting. We're talking about 13.5 points. Give me Central Florida. They'll lose the game, but I think they keep the game close. I think the number's too high. Central Florida plus 13.5 for 1.1 units. Second bet. We go to the Big East Conference. Marquette is at Butler. Number is 7 or 6.5. Go find the 7. Butler is 10-10 overall ATS on the year, but they're 5-4 in Big East play in ATS-wise. Marquette is 3-6 in the Big East ATS-wise. They're 10-9-1 overall. They're 4-4 on the road, and they are 3-7 ATS over their last 10 games. They have covered their last 2 games, however. At home against Nova, laying 9.5, won by 13. And on the road against Seton Hall, laying 13, they won by 17. But Butler has played a road game at Connecticut where they caught 13.5, and Thad Matta's team almost won the game outright. They lost by 2 in overtime. DePaul was the next opponent. They laid 6 at home, and they won by 17 points. I think Butler is going to put a scare into Marquette here. Now, KenPom has this as a 6-point win for Marquette, 76-70. Catching 7 or 6.5, as long as it's over 6, I think there's value here with at home for Butler, where they're always better. They always play tough. They're 2-7 in Big East play. But that's because they got off to an awful start where they lost their first 6 games in Big East play since they've won outright 2 of their last 3, and they've covered in 2 of their last 3 as well. Marquette, as we talked about, leaking oil a little bit here, not the same team. They have lost to Xavier, Dayton, and Iowa State for their 3 losses. They are 8-1 in Big East play, but on the road, they've been having some trouble. Not as good of a blowout win over Seton Hall. As we talked about with the Creighton game earlier, they won the game by 8 points against the Jays, but They got to play Connecticut soon. They got to go to Omaha and play Creighton. They got to go to Villanova. They got to go to Georgetown and to UConn. Got a really tough schedule coming up for Shaka Smart's team here. Starting here with a road game to Butler. Give me the 7 points. I'll take the dog here. Butler at home to cover and maybe even win the game outright. Taking care of business at home here. We're going to go with outright here, but take the points. +7 for a Butler Bulldog team that, yes, they're 5-7 at home, but 5-4 ATS in the Big 12. And I think they got a shot here to put a little scare into the Marquette Golden Eagles here. +7 for Butler. All right. Those are the two plays to start for the card for us here on a Tuesday. Big college basketball Tuesday. There's a ton of really good games for Terrell Furman and I to get into tonight. Kentucky is at Tennessee. North Carolina is at Pittsburgh. Oklahoma at Texas A&M. We've got Marquette and Butler. St. John's is at Georgetown. South Carolina is at Georgia. Arizona State is at Colorado. Minnesota is at Michigan State. Bunch of good games to get into. We'll have it all covered for you at 5:30 Eastern Time, 2:30 Pacific Time for our college basketball live stream every Tuesday night at 5:30 Eastern on the BettingPros YouTube channel with myself and Terrell Furman. My name is Matt Perrault. You guys can follow me across all my socials at Sports Talk Matt every morning, wherever you guys get your podcasts. It is the Daily Juice.